Beyond Don't Say Gay, here are the biggest issues LGBTQ plus Gen Z will face in 2023. The next year is set to be a challenging time for many in the LGBTQ plus community, but especially Zoomers. Beyond challenges at school with the Parental Rights in Education bill, many younger members of the LGBTQ plus community face even more direct attacks on their identities, especially transgender individuals. Texas has ruled that any gender-affirming care given to minors is child abuse, and it made it illegal. Florida has passed a law that individuals on Medicaid cannot receive help transitioning, hurting many transgender youth from low-income families. Libraries across the nation are being forced to remove LGBTQ plus resources and books for fear of losing funding. 2023 is looking to be a challenging year, and Gen Z will likely need help from their LGBTQ plus elders in the coming year. As a trans person, it honestly just really hurts my heart, because I have the privilege of having a bit better insurance, a private insurance that allows me to continue my hormone therapy, but for my friends who do not, this is extremely harmful, because now they can't get the medical care they need. And it's not just trans healthcare, it's healthcare in general, because you have to go to a doctor that is trans competent, because again, we have a bunch of different, there are AFAB people who are now transitioning. They still technically have to go to gynecology services. You have to find someone that is trans inclusive, because if not, it can be a really, really harmful experience to someone's mental health. And stripping all that away, it's not just affecting trans healthcare, it's affecting their access to healthcare, period.
And I want to note, even in your situation, Evan, we saw just 2 weeks ago the Board of Medicine vote to start a rulemaking process to potentially restrict trans-affirming care, gender-affirming care, for regardless of whether or not you can pocket the bill uninsured or have private insurance. And so we see the ways in which this is sweeping. This is the potential of an outright ban against gender-affirming care for folks that are under the age of 18, and it's already happened, or is even further along than it is here in other states, and to see the same party that says that they are all for parents' rights is taking away the rights of parents to support their trans kids. It's taking away the rights of parents to decide what's going on in their schools. And so we see that again, it's a group of people who can't even stick to their own values. They can't even stick to the own talking points that they spill.
And more importantly, when Floridians everywhere are already struggling with high rent costs, high mortgage costs out on the market.
Insurance does wonders.
I know, right? It's great at the fact that instead of supporting Floridians in their struggles to receive health care benefits and costs, because we are seeing an increase in housing, the cost of housing, from apartments to mortgages have become so expensive in the state of Florida as of recently. Instead of trying to level the playing field so parents don't have to make the decision of whether or not to keep the lights on or go to that doctor's appointment, instead of trying to subsidize healthcare, once again, we're seeing where this governor is rolling it back away from those that are most vulnerable and need it. It is gross that Medicaid is being cut back for trans services so that they can get the help, the medical attention that they need and deserve. I think that when the founding fathers said that we have the right to personal liberties, I think that meant in every single aspect. And I also think this is why Roe v. Wade was so important and critical, because not only did it have the precedent that protected a woman's right to choose, but it protected privacy at large and every aspect of a person's life. And so now that it's no longer the law of the land and we're leaving it up to states to decide, we are beginning to see what some of those things entail and how the GOP can all out set back decades of work, and that includes Medicaid covering those costs.
I think it's interesting how you mentioned elders and how talking to LGBTQ elders is a really important conversation to have, especially when you're an LGBTQ youth. You see people, 7 years ago, they had to go through different things like, legalizing gay marriage, but we have so many new things that are coming up that weren't issues 7 years ago, or 8 years ago, or maybe even hundreds of years ago, right? And they're suddenly becoming issues, and I think that's what we mean by regressing. If anyone's like questioning, like, what do you mean regressing?
Right.
Like, this is what we mean. There's things that are coming into conversation that hadn't been in the conversation for years, and suddenly now, because we ran out of things to oppress people from,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. But I did a lot of work with the Yes Institute with regards to speaking to elders and understanding elders' experiences as it relates to LGBTQ or their queerness, right? And it's just so inspiring. And I heard that word, and it brought me back to listening to these incredibly heart-wrenching stories and heartwarming, heartbreaking, all of the hearts. And I don't know, I think if anyone has at home a queer relative or a queer friend that happens to be much older than them, that has gone through different things, talk to them. And I think through understanding how they went through their queer struggles, you can maybe get through yours a little easier.
All right, well, with that.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+ community.